That is to say, we find that also English is strictly related to the language of the vaqueros and of the conquistadores. This is the shocking thing we find at this point. And it is linked through, again, through the Romans. You see there, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, in 55 before Christ, invaded Britannia, this is to say, the actual United Kingdom, and he actually brought Latin to the Britannia. And in 1066, William the Conqueror of Normandy invaded again Great Britain, and he brought French, that is nothing else than a second-hand Latin. And so actually we discover that there are great things in common, points in common between Spanish and English. Actually, for those who have studied glottology, you know that the English should be sorted among the Romance languages exactly like Italian, Spanish, French, and so on. If the dictionary, if the words should be considered, because 60% of the English words come from Latin. So we discover that in effect there is not this fracture, there is not this division, but there is a great deal in common between English and between Spanish. And we discover also that when these pioneers, going back to the history of the Far West, they were both Hispanic, they were both Anglo-Saxon, German. When they found in front of them this enormous, space of the prairies, they were both upset. There was no difference if the Hispanics or the were Anglos. I mean, they were upset, and they had an instant of hesitation because they understood what it meant, you know, to start in this colonization of this enormous continent. But the frontier started to move again. They were not discouraged. They started again towards the west. And the people actually were hunters, there were soldiers, there were cowboys, people that started to build the railroads that united the two coasts of our country. And they were looking all for, this is what they had in common, in spite of the language, in spite of the origin. They were looking for the promised land. In the end, actually, the West was nothing but a thin strip on the beaches of the Pacific, where finally, when they got to the Pacific, it dissolved. The pioneers of different origin, they were mere brothers by the same hardships, by the same difficulties. They had not stopped in front of the mountains. They had not stopped in front of the arrows of the Indians. They had not stopped in front of the attacks of the outlaws. Against everything, against everybody, they had gone stop only ahead on a trail of about 5,000 kilometers long, on horseback, on the squeaky wheels of a wagon, and sometimes on foot, sometimes also pushing a wheelbarrow. And it had sustained them the hope of a palm of fertile land, a palm of fertile land on which to spread their seeds, on which to build their house, on which to dig their grave, a palm of land for men of goodwill, Hispanics and Anglos. And it's for this reason that the conquest of the Far West is so popular. For this reason that I've chosen this topic, and that for this reason that we still live as an anxious aspiration to a better and united America. An America that needs to be strong against the real enemies, against the attacks of the real enemies, that has found in space a new West and a new frontier, and that needs to be united from sea to shining sea. Thank you.